Before the episode starts, I just wanted to apologize in advance because the audio on this episode kind of jumps all over the place because we had some last-minute technical difficulties. Thank you so much for tuning in. Hopefully you enjoy today's episode. Hello, and welcome back to Shockingly Wicked, a true crime podcast where we bring you true crime cases from the headlines to the hometowns. I'm Brianna.
I don't know who I am. Mood.
It's a very existential question, isn't it?
Who are any of us, really?
Yeah. Anyway, we have a special guest with us today.
Your midlife crisis.
Yes.
Welcome.
So, I am in Atlanta visiting my sister.
We're visiting Amanda, or as I like to call, Boruto.
Boruto.
Also, Sailor Jupiter is the most important of the sailors, but she's here.
She's here. Yeah, I'm a voice actor, so I'm not just like some person who's like, I am anime characters.
Also, my husband's here.
He is probably thinking that we are crazy because
He's
we've
trying
tried
to file divorce papers right now.
He's like trying to fill them out on his phone. Yeah, without you seeing.
Yeah, we've tried to re-record this intro multiple times, and I just hit the mic, so it's fine.
Good job.
It's just one of those days.
She's embarrassing herself in front of the voice actor with bad mic technique.
Yeah.
For shame.
Yeah.
Tell us about George.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So we have, us, and then Chris, and then also we have another guest who is here. His name is Big George, and he's the ghost that lives in my house.
How do you know he's big?
I mean, that was his name. I didn't make it up.
Oh, okay.
I'm not making a moral judgment on the man I've never met. So basically, I got the house back in November, and then I was at, a 4th of July party recently, and my neighbors got a little tips here. A little sauced, I guess. I don't know what the slang the kids are using these days on the TikToks. But they were like, they've been living here for 30 years, right? So they know everything that's been going on. They were telling me stories, and they were all heartwarming and not really heartwarming. One of them was about how the kid got dragged behind the ice cream truck because he was trying to chase it.
That's a mood.
He was fine. He was just stupid. The kids used to run down the street and jump on the back of the ice cream truck, and I guess one of them got dragged, and then they tried to sue the ice cream truck, and the policeman was like, "No, your kid's stupid, and he shouldn't have been jumping on the back of an ice cream truck. Good day, ma'am." So I guess they were really heartwarming stories, but they were funny stories for when you're drunk. Anyway, one of them turns to me and she's like, "Oh, I love the renovations they did on your house. It's so much nicer than when Big George killed himself in there."
Just, casual.
Yeah, just throwing it out there as if it's like, "Oh yeah, you used to have one story instead of two," or whatever. It's like, no, that's a big,
yeah.
Because it's not Big George.
That's a big. Okay. Because the thing is, it was built in the 1940s, so I understand that people have lived and died here. But there's something about, murder-suicides or just suicides. There's something about those kind of...
Wait, why did he kill himself?
Apparently his wife or girlfriend left him. And,
Period, queen.
Yeah, and I don't know how he did it, so that's the thing. Part of me, really wants to know, but then part of me is I'll never be able to unsee it if I know where and how he did it.
Yeah.
So whenever something happens in my house, I'll be like, "George!" I think one time I said something about, I want to exorcise this ghost, but I spelled it exercise, jazzercise kind of thing. And I was like, well, I mean, he was Big George. Maybe he wants to be, Chunky George. He wants to...
He wants to be Husky George.
Yeah, Husky, he's like, I don't need to be a skinny bitch, but
I want to be thick.
I want to be a thick George. I like that. My ghost is Thick George. Are you good with that, George?
Knock once for yes, knock twice for no.
Oh, I would die. My heart would explode out of my nose.
Out of your nose specifically?
Well, that's how much it would explode and projectile shoot that far out of my head.
Well, I was thinking mouth and nose. How sometimes you throw up and you're trying to hold it in, but it goes through your nose.
That's disgusting.
Yeah.
Bye.
It's almost like we forgot
about murder.
We're here for a reason. Okay. Anyway, today you saw in our title, we're talking about what is called the Heehaw gang. Amanda actually brought this case to my attention, which is the reason why she's on this. It's not just because she's my sister.
Nepotism.
Amanda, how did you find out about the case?
So my friend Jeremy, who's also a fellow voice actress, was telling me about it. And she was telling me about this case that happened to somebody. So she's from Texas, and so she knew the family this happened to. I guess she went to school with the two daughters. And she was telling me this like crazy story. I'm like, this sounds too unbelievable. She's like, no, I know it sounds fake. Like if you made a movie about it, people would be like, this is beyond belief. But it actually happened. So she started directing me down the path of like, the Dateline episode, and there's this like an article about it, and there's all this information out there about it, and I still don't understand how this happened. I don't know if you want to go into the background. I don't know how you like to divulge the information.
Yeah, it's storytelling.
Okay.
Storytelling. We start with the background. We set the stage with the players, and
It was Georgia. No, wait.
Nope.
Screw that. Nope. It was Texas. I don't really know how to do a Texas accent. All my southern accents blend together. Everything's bigger in Texas, including their murder plots.
That's accurate.
So
Size really does matter.
All right, so we're going to go ahead and start with our background. So we have Frank and Nancy Howard. They were a very
lovely couple.
Very lovely.
God-fearing.
Yeah. Like, their son even said that if the doors to their church were open, they were in it.
Yeah.
They were on the choir. They hosted youth group Bible studies and things like that. Apparently, Frank was a preacher's son, and he and Nancy met at church. I found it hilarious that, because Frank had been married before, but it was like a very brief marriage in his college years, and it ended in divorce. Nancy had apparently attended that ceremony.
Like they all do.
So it's like, you didn't think that was a red flag right there?
I mean, but I've heard of cases like that. Like Margaret Mitchell, the writer of Gone with the Wind, had that happen, where like her first husband was horrible, he was abusive, and then she...
Frankly, Scarlett, I don't give a damn.
That was a direct quote from her first husband. No, and then the second husband ended up being, I think, one of the groomsmen at her first wedding. So it was like a rom-com where it's like he was always, the right guy was always there.
Interesting.
But also, I feel like Frank being a pastor's kid should have been the red flag.
Oh, true.
They are repressed beyond belief. Like there is some sort of weird stuff going on with every pastor's
Have
kid
you
I've
never
ever
seen
known.
the show Preacher's Daughters?
No, where is that?
On Lifetime.
Oh.
That sounds brilliant. Is it like a reality show, or is it like
Yeah.
a Lifetime movie?
It is a reality show.
Oh my god.
I have never heard of it.
In Spartanburg.
What? Where you're
They're
from?
whores.
We don't.
No, I'm not
judge.
from Spartanburg.
She just got shot there.
Yeah. So, Frank, what?
Can't just we gotta explain to them at some point how she got shot. We can't just glossing this over.
No, we're gonna keep glossing it. It's the biggest mystery of the
That's
podcast.
true. You'll reveal it in the season finale.
It's the biggest mystery of the podcast. So Frank was an accountant, and he ran a small firm with a business partner. He was allegedly described as kind, gentle, loving, and very involved with his children.
He had a weird head of hair.
Yes.
He had like a lot of hair, but it was like parted down the middle and then also swept back.
Yeah, it looks like an evil villain's hairstyle in like a cartoon.
Yeah, it's like he tried to do a Wolverine. Maybe like a really bad cosplay.
Have you seen a picture
Tasmanian Devil.
Sure, we'll call it that.
Yeah.
Not quite Wolverine, just Tasmanian Devil dad hair.
But Nancy Howard, she was a stay-at-home mom. She called herself a domestic engineer.
I love that.
That sounds like a stay-at-home mom if I knew one.
I'm not a stay-at-home mom. I'm a domestic engineer. What is that? Somebody was saying like they're like I don't work at Subway. I'm a
sandwich artist.
A sandwich artist.
That's literally when they put up the job listing, they call it a sandwich artist because they want to make it sound fancy. But it's like you're working at Subway. Like,
yeah. Well, and there's no shame in that, but just like I just feel like that would be misleading because like I want to create actual art.
No, there is shame. You should go to Jimmy John's instead.
To be fair, I agree. Jimmy John's is delicious.
Subway sucks. Okay. She started on the PTA. She volunteered for school field trips. She was a member of a book club, and she loved scrapbooking. She was described as giving, open, had a soft spot for someone with a sob story, and she had a really good heart. She apparently also struggled with depression and chronic pain from fibromyalgia. I overpronounced that because otherwise I was going to say it completely wrong. And I read in one of the articles that apparently, quote, girls, green, and glory were allegedly the three things that Frank told Nancy were his downfall. So
green like money?
Yeah.
I thought that said grits at first.
That is a mood. I love grits.
Same.
So does Chris.
Shrimp and grits were her downfall. She did all these murders, and then they like put a trap filled with shrimp and grits, and Amanda just came like slinking out of the woods.
They pulled a stick in the box.
They trapped me. That's how they got me.
So the Howard family unit, it was Frank and Nancy. They got married in 1983, and then they had 3 children. Their daughter, Ashley, who was born 2 years after their marriage. Apparently, she spent like 10 days in the NICU, which allegedly brought the couple closer together.
Okay, so what?
You want a cookie?
And then they had a son named Jay and then a daughter named Brianna.
You're famous!
No, it's spelled wrong. It's spelled wrong. It's got two N's.
Technically, Brianna's name is spelled wrong.
You shut your whore mouth.
The one N that Brianna has is supposed to be Anna, and then the two N's is supposed to be Anna.
I'm aware. Anyway, Ashley said that the Howard family basically did everything together. They described themselves as being like the Cleaver family from Leave It to Beaver, which should tell you that it's all fake.
Yeah, I'm like, that's also a red flag.
I've never seen Leave It to Beaver.
I saw the remake, and it was pretty fun, but I'm sure that's not... The remake was definitely more tongue-in-cheek and, like, not what the original show was.
Back to our regular scheduled program.
So Frank and Nancy became empty nesters in, I believe it was 2013. Nancy was often left home alone because Frank, he was an accountant, but he had just recently gotten a job, I believe, with a rich client who was a defense contractor.
And, like, when we first read it, like, later there was an article that elaborated on what the defense contract was. Because at first I'm like, oh, man, he must have been, like, doing Tony Stark type shit. Like, selling rockets and, I don't know, whatever. No, this dude was selling ice to soldiers in Iraq. I don't know if he's selling ice to the soldiers, but he the business, the multi-million-dollar thing that Frank was working for.
I was so confused. I don't know why. I thought this was in like 1942. This is in 2012.
Yeah, this was recent.
Yeah.
When Nancy was left home alone, she was usually spending a lot of her time at their church, which is First Baptist Church of Carrollton. Like I said, Frank would travel a lot. He began that job in 2009, and apparently he hadn't consulted Nancy about taking up the job, which was weird because they consulted about everything.
God damn it, Frank.
Yeah. Fuck you, Frank.
Yeah.
He eventually became employed at Richard Rayleigh's company as the chief financial officer, and he traveled to places like Florida, California, Europe, and Kuwait, allegedly on business.
Damn, how are you going to travel to Europe and Kuwait, but only 2 states? Florida and California.
Well,
that's it.
We'll get to why he went to California more often.
It's like the 2 worst states.
All right. The crime. Da-da-da. Saturday, August 18th, 2012. Nancy basically spent her entire day at church.
Shocker.
Yeah, she was at the church in the morning, and then she went back in the evening because there was a baptism for a family friend around 6 p.m. So she left the church around 7:30 p.m. and grabbed dinner on her way home at a place called Taco Bueno. I've never had it, but I'm sure it's very similar to Taco Bell, but I love Taco Bell.
And I don't know why, but one of the articles was like, she got a steak fajita. I'm like, this is very important to the crime.
Yes.
Everything would have been different if she had just gotten the pollo asado bowl.
She had just got the quesadilla.
Always go with the quesadilla.
Yeah. So around 8 p.m., Nancy returned home, went into the garage, and as she was about to get into the house, a man wrapped his arm around her neck and demanded her purse.
How fucking rude.
Say please. You're gonna be like, can I have your fucking purse, please?
Yeah, at least. Nancy says she didn't believe what was happening until she, like, wrestled away from him.
What do you mean you don't believe what's happening?
Because she thought,
shock.
Yeah, maybe she thought somebody was playing a prank on her or something. I don't know.
This is a funny prank.
Yeah. So she wrestled herself away and faced him, and that's when she saw that he had a gun.
Oh, God.
So he demanded her purse again, and she said that she accidentally gave him her Taco Bueno bag.
Which I totally 100% believe that, because, like, I have, like, you know how often, like, you know, I don't know, a waitress will be like, enjoy your meal, and you'll be like, you too.
Yeah.
Like, you know, like, your brain just doesn't work when
you don't know if they actually could be going to join a meal.
Exactly. Like, I feel for her, because, like, I also feel like as I was dealing with this, I'd be like, oh, now this man who's trying to kill me is gonna think I'm stupid.
You'd have anxiety.
I'd have anxiety, and, like, so as I, like, go down, I'd be like, oh, he's gonna leave thinking, like, what a dumb bitch.
So again, he demanded the purse another time, and
He said, fuck this.
I mean, I think it'd be funny if he, like, took it anyway, because he's like, he hadn't had food, and was kind of like, thanks.
So she finally gave the purse, and that's when he shot her in the head. It was a .38 caliber bullet that entered in through her left temple, and then he ran away, because that's what you do after you shoot somebody. You don't linger, because that would be stupid. She didn't have her cell phone on her because it was in her purse that he just stole. And so she tried to use her car's emergency response system, I guess like an OnStar type thing, but it wouldn't work. So she managed to drag herself into the house and call 911. And she managed to describe a suspect to the dispatcher, which was a very basic description, a white male in his 20s wearing a black hat.
Oh, goddamn.
Yeah.
Carrollton 911, what's the address of the emergency?
I've been shot, please.
What's the address, ma'am?
25. Move out of the way.
Tell me exactly what happened.
I'm being chased in my garage. I was getting out of my car. And a while below person shot me. Please help me.
Yes, ma'am, I've already got help started your way. Don't hang up, and I'm going to get some questions answered from you, okay? How many people was it?
It just wasn't aware.
Did you see him?
Yeah.
Was he white, black, Hispanic?
He was white at least. Dark hair.
How old?
I don't know, maybe mid to late 20s, 30s.
And what color shirt was he wearing?
I don't know. He was wearing a black cap. I made it to the front. I'm going to lock my front door.
Okay.
I'm sitting in a chair by the front door. Oh, my God. Help me, please.
Yes, ma'am, they're already on the way. What's your name?
D.M.G. Howard.
Okay.
So, two of the officers that they interviewed in the Dateline episode, Michael Wall and Brian Turner, described this crime scene as really bloody.
Oh,
So,
really?
like I said, Nancy's purse was taken, but the rest of the house wasn't touched, even though there was, like, a ton of stuff there because...
Well, technically, he did touch her steak fajita.
That's the biggest crime of all here.
I agree.
Did she even get to eat it?
I mean, I don't think she was really concerned
I
about
think her
it.
priorities
She got shot in the
changed.
head.
They said that they found her purse and like they didn't even take the money out of it. Like the only thing missing was her driver's license, and even then I think they found that somewhere close by.
It was close by. They had taken it out and they thought that
They took it out to be able to sneak into a club.
Yeah, they were like, yeah, maybe I can look like this like middle-aged sweet lady who does scrapbooking, even though I look like a meth head from East Texas.
They speculated that the reason they took it out was because they wanted to confirm that it was the right person.
That would be very awkward that they, if it wasn't, because they waited till afterwards to do it.
Yeah, to confirm.
But I guess that would also be very awkward to be like, ma'am, can I just see your ID real quick? Oh, okay, great.
Can you tell me your fucking name?
So Frank got a call that something awful had happened to Nancy while he was in South Lake Tahoe in a casino.
I thought he was supposed to be God-fearing. Not God-praying.
Them past us kids.
Yeah. So he claims he was beside himself and crying at the news, but basically he rushed home. He arrived the morning after Nancy was shot, and he was described as being in terrible shape by his daughters while he was at the hospital. Like he was...
Sounds like a personal problem. That's an unrelated issue.
Well, they were saying how he was like falling on the ground, tearing his clothes. It seemed very melodramatic, like not realistic,
Not
based off that description. Yeah. Doctor said that the bullet had traveled into her skull, through her sinus cavity, down her throat, and into her lung, which then collapsed. So
Okay, me too.
yeah, when I was researching this, I was like, oh, I wonder how Brittany's going to feel about this. But then you were joking about it at dinner. I was like, oh, she'll be fine. So thankfully, Nancy didn't suffer any brain damage.
Wow.
But she did lose her left eye.
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
And she had these beautiful, like almost violet eyes, like
Not
they were
no more.
very well. She still had the other
one.
one, and like they were able to make like a nice prosthetic that looked like it. But she to this day she still feels self-conscious about it because it doesn't move. Like it kind of just, and she can't. There's no muscle in her eyelids, so she can't even
close
like
that
close
eye.
it and blink.
Fun fact: my late grandfather-in-law had the glass eye. Okay. Continue.
I would
more
totally
you know.
mess with that. Like I would pop that out. Like I'd be like,
Didn't he do that?
did he pop it out? I would. Totally. Like, what else are you gonna do with it? Like, I would totally like if kids left toys around. I'd be like, pick up your toys. And eventually, at one point, I'd like trip over the toy and pretend to make my eyeball pop out. And like, just like I would use that. I would totally milk that.
Yeah. So Nancy basically considered her survival a miracle because obviously she's a God-fearing woman. She's constantly at church, so she was like, thank you, Jesus. Anyway, Nancy recovered and she was able to give a more detailed description once she woke up. She mentioned like a strong jaw, some black glasses, and one of her quotes was that he looked intent on doing what he came to do. I would say he certainly had no pity. So...
Well, usually most men who shoot women in the head that they don't know tend to not have pity.
It's true.
They're not necessarily the most like upstanding pillars of their community.
It's very true. So, for the investigation, there were some break-ins in the area, so initially police were like, maybe these are related. And the family even came up with theories to what might have happened. They also thought maybe the break-ins, but then they thought, well, maybe Nancy just happened to help the wrong person, and they identified her as a target, and they came back and shot her.
God damn, I didn't want steak fajita. I wanted a chicken quesadilla.
Well, because it's like, I would buy into that if they had gone into the house and taken anything else.
Right, like if they'd taken advantage of breaking in, you
Yeah.
know, but they just hurt her. They didn't steal anything.
Yeah. So police talked to Frank because in most investigations they have to clear all the immediate family and make sure that nobody around them was involved somehow. So he turned over his cell phone and then he offered to put up a reward to help get more leads because, you know, money makes people talk. Keep this in mind. When doing an analysis on his phone, investigators discovered he was having an affair.
I'm not shocked.
I like how Frank was like, oh yeah, I have nothing to hide. Look on my phone, and didn't think to like delete the text messages. But then I guess it was also well, I don't know if you want to spoil how long it was, but it's like, it was a lot of...
It was a lot of sex.
It was 3 years.
Yeah. I mean, I was going to say that in like 2 seconds.
So it's fine. So, okay, I didn't spoil too far ahead.
It was a 3-year-long affair. There were lots of text messages to someone labeled S. Tahoe Cell.
Why have an affair? Why don't you just get a divorce?
Because divorce is sinful, even though he already had done it.
Yes.
Divorce would be sinful, but as we learn, well, I don't want to spoil things too much, but murder's fine.
Even though that's in the Ten Commandments and not divorce.
No. You don't understand. Jesus is chill with murder. But divorce is icky.
Yes. So there were a bunch of texts to someone labeled S. Tahoe Cell and lots of photos with a woman who wasn't Nancy. Her name was Suzanne Leontief, a woman...
Found her nudies.
I don't know. They didn't mention that. But there are a lot of pictures of them two together because they would travel a lot to different places. But she was a woman in her early 50s who had kids of her own. They met at a gambling table at Harvey's Casino in Lake Tahoe.
That sounds like they both have problems.
Oh, yeah. So at the time, she was separated from her husband and working on a divorce. Frank had told her he was married, but it wasn't going well. Her quote was that he said he just hadn't been happy, but not miserable either. But I'm like, that's a very...
So he's basically living life like the rest of us.
Yeah.
Like he's eating
just
grits
going through
with
life.
no butter. Grits with no butter or salt.
No butter.
Like it's fine, but like no butter or salt? Come on.
No, that's not acceptable.
Yeah. Why even eat grits at that
He
point?
sounds like he's depressed. That sounds like depression to me.
Don't give him any sympathy.
I don't.
Good.
We all have depression in one way or
Get
another.
over it, Frank.
Yeah. So when Suzanne's divorce went through, because she would have lost her health insurance because it was through her husband, Frank added her to the payroll of Rayleigh's company so that she wouldn't lose health insurance.
Fuck her.
And he kept a framed photo of the two of them in his office. So I'm like, how did nobody see this?
And didn't he label, like, I don't fully understand how accounting works, but basically when he was doing this defense contract thing, he made like 3 of the, I don't know if they were files or whatever, but like the big transfers, he labeled them under her name.
Oh, yeah.
And even named one like Suzanne Leontief Howard as if they were married.
Yeah, it was like holding companies.
Does anybody know if she looks like Nancy? Do they look similar?
No.
No, they don't.
She was
They're
like she was like blonde and...
I have no answer.
The thing is, I don't necessarily blame her in all this because I think he said, you know, we all want to believe what we believe. And he said, oh, you know, I'm not happy.
I blame everybody.
That's a safe stance.
I kind of blame her because she knew that he was married. So it's like, you could have waited to get involved with him.
At least she was separated. He's married. And she knows he's married.
Yeah. No, I mean, I'm not like a fan of when people do this, but at the same time, I'm kind of just like, I don't know. Like, I don't think he told her what he was about to do is what I'm saying. Like, I think she just was like, oh, he's in an affair. Yeah. I don't think she knew that he was about to, this whole situation was about to happen.
Yeah. So at the time that he got the call about Nancy being shot, he was actually in California seeing her and not on business like he had initially claimed.
Actually gambling.
Yes. So like Amanda said, he'd been having this affair for 3 years and he claims he didn't tell the police about the affair because he didn't think it was relevant to what happened to Nancy. But it's like, okay. I think it's at least a little bit relevant. So they start to question the kids, and the kids recommend that Frank get a lawyer. And of course, now that the affair has kind of come out, he has to admit to his kids that he was having an affair. And then he had to tell Nancy, but the cops weren't allowing him to go in to see her in person because he was now a suspect. So he had to do it over the phone. And I'm like, that's probably one of the worst ways to have to find that out.
Like, this lady loved him, and that's the worst way to have. Like, I was broken up with over the phone. And it's like, I mean, this is not even remotely as bad as what happened to her, but it's still just like, it's the worst
feeling
feeling, yeah, because you can't even see them. You can't see the look in their eyes of this person that you loved as they break your heart. Like, I feel for Nancy so much. She seems like the sweetest lady. Like, she freaking scrapbooks.
Yeah.
And has a book club. And we'll get into that later.
She's Martha Stewart.
Basically. So Nancy said that her relationship with Frank had started to change around 2009, which is the time that he started taking that job. And they said that Frank had actually ditched her on one New Year's Eve night to hang out with his business associates. And I think it was after that they tried to do marriage counseling, but Frank stopped going after a few months because he was like, there's no point, it's not working or whatever, or something like that, which is usually what happens when
there's an affair.
Yes.
There's also, another interesting that tends to happen with affairs is the opposite, where the person will suddenly be like, have a renewed interest in everything and be like, kind of like heel clicks, like jumping around, like, oh, what a beautiful morning. Like, one of my ex best friends was like that, where like we had no idea he was cheating, and then later we're like, we just thought he was having real good like energy boosts, but like no, he was putting his ink in other wells, or I don't know what the analogy would be. That was a weird old timey thing, like a quill.
A quill.
Declaration of Independence.
Are you Russian signing the Declaration? You're like, I am not spy. I am Thomas Jefferson. Look away. I am not suspicious. I am not spy for communist Russia.
Good morning.
Good morning.
So like Amanda said, they tracked Nancy's cell phone, find her purse in a nearby dumpster with everything still inside except her license, but that was just kind of like cast aside. So that's when they changed their idea about the motive of this being like a robbery. So after double checking the security footage at the church, they see that 2 people were driving a silver vehicle following her into the parking lot. And then they left shortly after she like got out. And then they come back shortly before she leaves. And one of the people, I believe it's the driver, exits the vehicle at one point to go into the church to use the bathroom and is caught like on security footage, which... like,
even assassins gotta pee.
Well, yeah, but like, do it at a gas station, so it's not as obvious.
Ew.
I know. Gas station bathrooms are disgusting.
Unless it's Quick Trip.
Or Sheets, because they have to clean them 3 times a day.
Oh, man.
I don't know that. I'm from South.
Well, I used to work at Sheets. That's the only reason I know that.
You also used to work at Disney World.
I used to work at a lot of places.
If you hear the sound, it's because they're moving the mic back and forth in like a comical, like Disney way. Like
we're unprepared.
Okay, so about a month before Nancy was shot, on July 13th, there was a traffic stop made near the Howard home where 19-year-old Dustin Hirams told the police multiple stories. So first, he initially said he was coming to get money from his uncle. Then he changed it to a stepfather. Then he claimed that his stepfather was in jail and he was actually looking for someone named John instead.
And also they're like, we've been looking for his place for like 3 or 4 hours.
Yeah.
Like
the cops were pretty sure that they were high. Then he blurted out that he was hired as a hitman to kill a woman in Carrollton by a man named John. 2 days later, the passenger who was in the car, Jason Rendine, had been talking about Dustin being hired to perform this hit for, I think it was like $30,000 from an unknown male.
That's like Todd Colehope just offering the information. Yeah, I did Superbike. You got me in here for like 2 unrelated cases, but god damn, I did Superbike.
I just really want to be appreciated for my work.
So Jason and his wife, Stephanie, I don't know how to say her last name, so I'm not going to, were later arrested on drug charges where she said that they had, quote, a business relationship with John. And then the police showed Nancy a photo of the 2 from the traffic stop, but she wasn't able to identify either of them. I know this seems like it's unrelated, but I promise we're going to connect all the dots very, very soon. So, this is where we're going to talk about the Heehaw gang.
Heehaw!
And we'll get right to that after a quick word about our sponsors.
If you haven't heard about Anchor, it's the easiest way to make a podcast. Let me explain. It's free.
And who doesn't love free? There are also creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right in app, so you don't even need a fancy microphone or anything.
Which is so cool. Also, Anchor will distribute your podcast for you, so it'll be heard on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and anywhere else that you get your podcasts or listen to them.
You can also make money from your podcast, and you don't need to have a minimum listenership. It might not be a whole lot at first, but it adds up.
Yeah, and who doesn't love money, honey? Anchor is everything and has everything you need to make a podcast all in one place.
So go ahead and download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. So on August 24th, police get a call from an inmate named Billy Earl Johnson, who is a career criminal from East Texas, and at the time he was in prison, so he was claiming he had inside knowledge into the shooting. So
Why are you looking at me?
I'm just looking.
Because Brittany was in on it too.
Yeah.
Don't say that.
I mean, look, a lot of people were in on this thing. I wouldn't be surprised.
This is very true.
I was only 13.
Hey, I bet you were a real precocious 13-year-old. Don't sell yourself short.
So Billy was the ringleader of a crew of petty criminals. They were either related by blood or marriage, or like were just roommates or friends or whatever. And people often refer to them as the Heehaw gang. Police bring Billy in, and he wants to cut a deal before he'll give out any information, because that's what criminals do. He was already in lockup
For something else.
for something unrelated.
They said he spent like a quarter of his life in and out of jail.
Yeah.
Charles Manson.
Yeah, he was just...
Was Charles Manson...
He was in and out of jail.
I didn't know that.
Like, yeah.
I guess I assumed he was like, I'm gonna not do it until I do it, and when I do it, I'm gonna do it big. I'm gonna do a big murder.
Well, he technically didn't murder anybody.
That's true.
He's also a guitar player.
True.
Was he all right?
I mean...
He sucked ass.
It wasn't good.
Screw him.
So, obviously, police bring him in. He wants a deal. So, he said he knew who ordered the hit and how it happened because he had been approached 3 years prior about doing this job. He said that a man named John had a disposable drop phone, drove a Lexus, and was a man of means, but he had contacted Billy about completing this job of murdering his wife, basically. Provided photos, basically just was like, hey, I'm going to give you X amount of money. I don't remember what it was because I didn't write it down. I think it was like $35,000 to murder my wife. I need you to make it look like an accident. Billy provided a lot of information to the police that he wouldn't have known unless he was involved somehow. Billy's wife, Stacy Sorenko, corroborated the information and added that John insisted the murder look like an accident. Billy claims he never actually intended to kill anyone, but planned to play John as long as he could, which he did for 2 whole years.
Yeah, this is the part that I don't understand. Because, like, John doesn't seem like an idiot, but I think he is.
He sure acted like one.
It's like, if it walks like a duck and quacks like a duck, it might be a fucking idiot.
At one point, Billy hired a bodyguard named Charlie Louderman. He initially said that he was a hitman going after a gang member who raped someone's daughter, but later changed the story to the fact that he was going to be murdering some guy's wife. And that's when Charlie was like, I'm not fucking doing that.
Charlie's like, nah, I'm out.
Basically. So eventually, Billy's got family members and cousins and all this kind of stuff who started to get involved. So remember we mentioned 19-year-old Dustin Hirams? That is actually Billy's stepson.
Who is apparently too stupid. As Billy quoted, Billy's quoted as saying, he's so stupid he can't put antifreeze in his own pickup truck.
Yeah. So then there's Michael Speck, who is Billy's nephew. And then there's Michael Lawrence, who was Michael Speck's cellmate at one point. One of the articles has like I guess it's sort of like a family tree kind of explaining everybody's, what?
Wait, did you say Billy's cellmate? He was Michael's cellmate.
Yeah, he was Michael's cellmate.
Yeah, so it's Michael and Michael.
Yeah.
Which sounds like a delightful little sitcom.
It does. It's almost like 2.5 Men.
Yeah, but in prison.
Yes.
I'd watch that.
And then one more name that you need to know is Michael's fiance at the time, Misty Ford. Michael Lawrence's fiance,
It's
not
always
Michael Speck.
Misties.
Yeah.
All of them.
This is Misty with an I, not a Y.
So you know she's trouble. If you can get Jeremy on the show, she's done so much research into Misty, and she loves her. Like, Misty is hilarious.
It's always the people with the weird spelling names.
Yeah.
Misty,
Candy
Michaela with a CH.
Agreed. And Misty, and this is, I don't know if this is in your notes or not, but basically, Misty...
Oh, no, this wasn't in there.
allegedly Misty was somebody that was known to like date felons, and then when you pissed her off, she would call you in and she'd be like, I'm done with your ass.
She looks on the National Registry for warrants. People that are going to work.
That was her version of Tinder. She's like, ooh, top 10 most wanted. So then basically, they all knew this, but like I guess.
Yes, Copper. You know that dude that was on America's Most Wanted last night? He's in my fucking kitchen.
Yeah, like she's just like, I'm just fucking sick of him. So like every time they would piss her off, she would call him and be like, yeah, he's right here. And yet they all knew it, and they're like, but I still love that woman.
She must have a magic
punani.
Yes. That's better than magical snatch, which is what I was going to say.
Yeah, punani was magical in itself, like just the word.
Tsunami punani.
Tsunami punani.
Wop?
Yes.
She has a bucket and a mop.
Oh no. Okay, we need to go. Move on.
Yeah, we might get sued for like libel or no, it's slander. Which one?
Copyright.
Unless it's true. Unless she's like, yeah, I do need a bucket and a mop. It's a situation.
Okay, so John started to pay out members of the family, basically anyone claiming who would do this hit. Because, like I said, Billy basically strung him along for 2 years. He would always come out with, like, outlandish excuses for why...
My head hurts. Yeah. Oh, I can't tonight.
Or he would, like, end up in jail for some unrelated offense. But basically, John would, like, give them money. They would spend it on drugs or just extravagant expenses like trucks and AVs and
ATV or whatever.
ATVs and things like that. And it's like, and then they'd be like, I need more money, basically. And he would pay it.
That's the part I don't get. Like, I know when I'm being taken for a ride. Like, I might do it once and like be like, but the fact that they're like 2 years and they're like, oh yeah, I can't murder tonight because I got a real bad cold.
I'm sick.
Yeah, so I'm gonna need $10,000 more because I got a cold. And he's like, that sounds reasonable.
So initially he was giving them money in cash, but then he started to do wire transfers, which is, I mean, he fucked up multiple times before this, but this is when he really fucks up because you're leaving a paper trail. I believe altogether John paid out around $750,000 in wire transfers, $1 million in cash, and then $1 million in bail bonds for Billy and his family for any time that they happen to get arrested.
What does that have to do with the murder? Like, that's the crazy thing to me. It's like, I'm not responsible for you guys landing your asses in jail. Kill my wife.
Yeah.
Like, it's not that hard. Like, kill my wife.
Yeah. That's what I'm paying you for.
He gave her, like, I mean, this is also, to me, I cannot understand how somebody could be so cruel that he's like, he was giving them ideas. He's like brainstorming, like spitballing with them.
Like, all right, today, guys, this is what I got on the mood board.
This is what I'm envisioning. Yeah, my vision board.
Let's pull up my Pinterest board.
Like, so there's times where he would be like, you know what? Do it while she's in her book club or in her scrapping club.
Drop a toaster while she's in the bath.
Yeah, but like make sure it's like a lavender bubble bath. I just feel like that's a really important touch. Like, it's just bizarre because he's like able to say about this woman he's been married to, what, 30 years?
It was like 25 years
like, while she's doing her favorite hobby with her friends, he's like, one of the times was like, oh yeah, she's out at brunch. She's going to be out at brunch with her friends. Do like an assault weapon, like, but like kind of aim it mostly at her, but like kind of do some random shots at some other people so it doesn't look too...
I've got it. Tuesday nights, she gets steak fajitas.
Yeah, I hate that.
Steak fajitas.
I hate her and I hate steak fajitas. I hate red meat. It's bad for your heart.
That's what you got doing.
But like the fact that he literally one time was like, you know what? I feel like this time you should try to do it with a baseball bat. Like, that's like, you must hate this person.
Yeah.
You don't want it to be quick.
Yeah.
Nancy's punani was not...
Hey, Nancy probably had a sweet... This is going to be so awkward.
Please stop.
Nancy
Please
had
stop.
a beautiful, holy punani.
No, please stop.
And Frank just couldn't appreciate it.
Please stop.
Because he's from hell.
Please stop.
It was not punani tsunami.
That's why if you look at him, his hair is kind of like devil-like. It's like, you know what? That's the situation. That is the Big George situation.
Mike, the situation.
Have fun editing this.
Yeah. So it was later revealed that most of this money was actually embezzled from Richard Raley, and we will get into more of that later.
It's just like just a bunch of incompetence and crime.
It's just
and
one thing after
stealing
another
from each other and not doing anything efficiently.
Yes. So Stacy, if you remember, was Jason Rendine's wife.
No, Stacy was Billy's girlfriend, right?
You're right. Not bad.
And Dustin's mother.
Stacy, who was Billy's wife and Dustin's mom, had sent a picture.
Were they married? I feel like these people aren't marriage kind of folk.
Well, it said in one of the articles that he was married and that Dustin was the stepson, so I don't know for sure, but yeah, it definitely doesn't seem
Don't seem like the church going kind of folk of like, let's make this, let me make you an honest woman.
You know, I imagine they maybe had like a small wedding outside the courthouse where they were both wearing like jeans and t-shirt.
And like had ankle monitors on or like ankle bracelets on.
So Stacy had sent a picture to her mother of John that she took at one of their meetings, I guess when they were exchanging cash, saying basically, if anything happens to me, this was the guy who did it. And the police see that picture. Guess who it is?
And they go, things that make you go,
Yes, basically. Turns out to be Frank Howard.
Whose first name is
John Franklin Howard.
Dun dun dun. Like he couldn't even come up with a name like Excelsior or like some more better code name.
Yeah.
He's like, I'm just gonna use one of my 3 actual legal names.
Yeah. So on August 26, 8 days after Nancy was shot, police arrested Frank and charged him with solicitation for murder. He was also later charged with attempted capital murder, but I could not find any point where they actually did that. I just know that it happened because that's what he ended up.
But that's what he was trying to do. I don't know why they wouldn't have been able to charge him.
They said, fuck the details.
Maybe initially it was solicitation for murder until they got more evidence, and they're like, okay, we can also officially add this on there. So, the trial. This is where we start to get pissed off. So, at the bond hearing, basically, the kids, and then there were a bunch of other witnesses, testified to his character, claiming he would never have done something like this, and basically just praising him, lavishing him with this praise, even though, I guess, at this point, they probably haven't seen all the evidence, but still, like...
Even once they saw the evidence, they didn't really change their mind, but they were sitting on the dad's side.
Yeah.
During all the court stuff, and like there's video of them like hugging their mom in court, like saying hi, but it was so like awkward.
Yeah.
I'm like, this is your mom. Your mom's the one who got shot, and you're sitting on your dad's side?
Yeah. So they determined that Michael Speck and his old cellmate, Michael Lawrence, they were determined to have been the ones who were in the silver Nissan that was following Nancy outside of the church. Initially, when Frank was the one who was arrested for this, Nancy refused to believe the worst about him for months. Eventually, she did come around to believe that he had relationships with the types of people who would do this, but she never actually believed that he was the one who called the shots. Frank goes on trial for attempted capital murder in August of 2014. Some of the evidence against them was that, like, they had phone records and wire transfers proving Frank's connection with the members of the Heehaw gang, because, like we said, he left a paper trail when he started doing those wire transfers. But
that's so stupid. Like, not only are you embezzling money and also trying to get a hit on your wife, but you're doing it like over, like, I mean, not Venmo, but like essentially.
Yeah, like the Matt Gates thing. Like,
Can I
hey,
get your Cash App name?
And then you like have to label it like for something, so it's like, you know, for In-N-Out Burger or whatever. It's like for
gun emoji
for ruining someone's scrapbooking.
Yes. So there was also a recorded phone call between Billy and John, Frank, because Billy was locked up at the time, and he was basically calling Frank, being like, "Hey, I need you to give me money so that I can get out." And Frank was like, I gave all of the money to Michael Speck. What happened to that money? That was the last of what I had. And Billy's kind of like, it seemed like he got mad. He's like, how much did you give Michael? Because I think he got mad that other people were starting to get the money that he wasn't getting.
in on his cash cow.
Yeah. So Michael Speck had gotten the money from Frank, and he reached out to his old cellmate, Michael Lawrence. And I believe his fiancée, Misty, thought that this trip to go see Michael Speck was actually to ask him to be his best man or something in the wedding. Turns out, no, it's a road trip for murder. So the two of them finally did the deed, but Michael Lawrence was actually the one who shot Nancy. Michael Lawrence, after the fact, confessed to Misty what he had done, But it wasn't until 2 months after that she broke off the engagement, and then she didn't actually talk to the police until January of 2013.
She had to weigh the pros and cons. That's not a deal breaker. You know, like, she's a woman of a certain age. I just feel like it's harder to find a quality man at that time. You got to think about, like, is this really? He feels bad about it.
There's only so many fish in the sea.
Yeah, the whole phrase of, like, yeah, there's it's like, yeah, there's so many fish in the sea that, like, you want to marry. I get that.
So obviously the prosecution argued that the motive was the affair. Some more information on this affair. He had actually given Susan, they estimated, about $1.9 million and an additional $500,000 in cash. They had purchased a home in California and a condo in Lake Tahoe together.
And California homes ain't cheap. It was like, I think it was like $900,000.
It was something like that.
Was worth.
He paid for softball tournaments. He helped pay for Susan's oldest daughter's college.
Is it Suzanne?
Suzanne, yeah, my bad. He helped pay for Suzanne's oldest daughter's college. He rented and then bought a boat. And they took.
I like that he tested it out first. He's like, I'm crazy. I'm not that crazy.
I'm reasonable with my
right. Like I hired a hitman to kill my wife, and I'm gonna buy this boat, but I'm gonna test it out first.
And then they also took plenty of trips together. So he kept talking about this divorce to Suzanne. He kept.
I mean, she's the other woman. I don't care that much about her name.
That's true. He kept insinuating that he was going to do it, but then there was always an excuse, like, as to why he couldn't do it. Like, there was a wedding or
ladies,
graduation.
This is always the case. When you're with a guy who's with somebody else, they're going to say a lot of stuff. I'm not saying this from personal experience or anything, but, like, I just know, like, I have friends who have done it, and they will always come up with excuses. They're not going to leave their partner. Like, if they were going to, they wouldn't be cheating.
Yeah.
They would have already done it. And also, if they're going to cheat to be with you, odds are they're going to do that to you eventually. Don't be stupid.
Real. So he kept talking about it, kept making excuses. So finally, Suzanne put her foot down. She's like, look, I am sick of this. I'm sick of being alone. You need to file by this Friday or move on. I have waited long enough. Girl, you waited 3 years too long.
But hey, she eventually, you know, we all make mistakes. She finally put down her boundaries at one point.
She did actually, like, obviously break off the relationship. Apparently, at the trial, that was the first time she had seen him in 2 years, because the trial took place basically 2 years after this whole shooting happened. So the last time she had seen him was when she had driven him to the airport to fly back home to be with his wife, who he hired people to murder. So the defense tried to argue that the prosecution's witnesses weren't credible because the Heehaw gang, they're very...
I just want to point out, that is the dumbest name for a gang. Like, that has really been bothering me this whole time. The Heehaw gang.
They're from East Texas.
I was going to say, like, it's not inaccurate.
I know, but the Texan gang, Big Hats gang would have been better.
Heehaw. I feel like it's about appropriate for, like, how competent they were.
Not even Yeehaw gang. It's the fucking Heehaw. It's like the Ridiculous Six.
I wonder, so do we know if they called themselves that, or if, like, the locals called them that?
That I don't know. I know in the Dateline episode they said that some people refer to them as the Heehaw gang, so I don't know if they call themselves that. I hope not, because then I'd have some questions.
That's like the kid in the back of my bus in high school who'd be like, "Behold my 2 inches of raw power." And I'm just like, you said that about yourself, dude.
So obviously the Heehaw gang, they're not very credible. They're all criminals. So basically the defense is like, are you really going to believe these guys? Like, they would lie to say whatever to get deals or to, you know, get reduced sentences. Because I think Billy and at least like 2 or 3 other people by that point had been
already
arrested.
in jail for other stuff.
Yeah. And then they also tried to argue that Frank was being blackmailed by the Heehaw gang. But I mean, I guess... It's just like, what would he have been blackmailed?
What would they have gained from it?
That, I mean, money,
you're
obviously,
having an affair?
Yeah,
dude, 3 years in, I mean, what?
Plus, how would they have known about an affair he was having in California?
And if he's having an affair, like, eventually he did tell his wife and kids, so it's like, why would he pay millions of dollars to keep that a secret?
Yeah. To me... To be honest, they don't really seem like the type that knows how to use technology. So,
I mean, that's fair.
Valid.
That's fair.
Well, I know that they mentioned that Billy and what's her name, Sandra, whatever. Stacy, thank you. I don't remember these names.
Suzanne.
Stacy.
Sisyphus.
Okay, so Billy and Stacy didn't have bank accounts, and so that's why they kind of got other people involved, because they were depositing the money into those bank accounts, and they're like, you can keep like 10-20% of whatever.
Wait, I feel like, did we talk about the crazy stuff I know we said a little bit about what they spend it on, but like, was literally like, they talked about how like Billy bought like a ton of shit for people. Like he bought stuff for Charlie. He bought like him a riding mower, and they said a ridiculous amount of assault weapons was the quote.
Yes.
Buy a Moroccan drum set.
Very, very like original, pristine, mint condition off eBay.
Can't even play it.
Yeah.
It's in the case. Locked away.
But they said Dustin at one point had like cash on his, like, not dashboard.
Cash money, babe.
Yeah.
He had it like sitting on his
on the hood of his car.
hood of his car. And at one point, it's kind of like you forget, like you have a coffee on the top of your car. He forgot that he had $8,000 sitting on the top, and he started driving, and it all blew away. And they were like, "Did you go back and get it?" He's like, "Nah."
It's like that one time Britney Spears, when she went home from Louisiana after she got big, and she just started giving out $100 bills to the locals.
No, that's exactly what happened. They said
Yeah.
they said that they were giving out. They said they were giving out Benjamins. Like they were, and they on Facebook, Dustin was like taking photos of like him and all this money. Like they're not.
It's like the type of people who sell weed through Snapchat.
So they claimed that he was being blackmailed, but they said that he had stopped paying a few weeks before Nancy was shot. So they said her being shot was them sending a message like, hey, this is the consequence for you not paying us anymore.
That was the whole reason for him to be paying them.
Right. So that was the defense's argument. And like Amanda said earlier, all three kids took the stand in Frank's they sat on his side of the courtroom, and then they took the stand in his defense.
And if you were on the fence of having kids before, you should really fuck them kids at this point.
Maybe not the exact phrasing of it, but because that'll also end you up in court. But
Just don't have them.
I definitely think if you knew when you were like having this like, you're pregnant and you're like holding your belly in that annoying way pregnant women do, where they're like, oh, I'm
this, and they're only like, it's a food baby.
Yeah.
It's only like 3 weeks.
Like, you know, you're holding it and you're like reading all these books about what to expect when you're expecting. I bet you didn't expect that like one day you're gonna get shot in the face and your kids are gonna side with the person who shot you.
Yes.
Outside.
Yeah. The daughters especially were outspoken about their support for him. Mm-hmm. I think the son just doesn't really.
So the son moved to California, and I don't know if it's that he changed his mind about his dad's guilt, or if he still supports his dad and it's just like, don't involve me, or if he's, I don't know.
He's like, fuck them both.
Yeah, because like the sisters were very outspoken. Like they're in the Dateline episode, and
they were annoying about it.
They were, because it's like they felt like, first of all, the older Ashley or whatever was like kind of smiling the whole time, as if like, oh, my mom lived, so it's fine.
Yeah. But it was also, she seemed condescending almost, too, about what happened to her mom. They're like, oh my God, I can't believe you think that my dad would do this. It's like,
the evidence is overwhelming that your dad did this. And she's like, well, if you guys had gone to the glass and like talked to him through the glass on those prison phones like we did to the same guy, you would think he was innocent too. It's like, honey, no, you have Stockholm syndrome.
You can only be a daddy's girl for so long.
Plus, like I understand you've lived with this guy for like however, I guess like 20 something years. Like I get it, but like the evidence is there.
I understand, because it's very hard to reassess your entire paradigm and be like, oh, everything I've known about this person is a lie, and they're actually an evil narcissist or sociopath or whatever Frank Howard is.
Yeah, and probably racist.
just throwing that in there, like sprinkling that in there, because why not?
But yeah, it's just like, I understand the cognitive dissonance that is associated with that, but the fact that you can literally just ignore what's right in front of your face, like, there are text messages, there are phone calls, there are wire transfers. Yeah,
they have recordings, like, because like Billy took it upon himself to record audio. So there's not just the audio from the prison. There's like audio just of them talking, and he's like, well, you know, I want it to be done. And like, I guess technically the defense could say, well, we don't know what he wanted to be done. He might have wanted like a repair to his fridge done.
Yeah, and it's just like,
I'm not hiring a meth head to repair my fridge.
Context clues matter.
Yeah, exactly. So the trial lasted for 10 days, and Britt and I have said in the past that if they come back within the same day, you're fucked. The jury only deliberated for 90 minutes. They deliberated for 90 minutes, came back with a unanimous verdict, which isn't always the case. Nah. And obviously he was found guilty of attempted capital murder and sentenced to life in prison 2 days later.
Chris is over here nodding like, period.
So he'll have to serve at least 30 years before he can be, like, considered for parole. Good. But he'll be 85 by then, so I really doubt he's actually gonna get it. There are also still pending charges for the solicitation for murder. There are also still pending charges for the solicitation for murder as of 2014. I didn't see any like follow-up articles. That was the newest information I found on that specific one. He did attempt to appeal his case, but he was denied the appeal by the Fort Worth Court of Appeals in April of 2016.
Denied.
Fuck you, Frank. So in a separate trial in 2015, Michael Lawrence, who was the one who actually shot Nancy, was convicted of aggravated assault with a deadly weapon and sentenced to 60 years in prison. That's a lot of time. So
wait, did Frank get more time or Michael Lawrence got more time?
Well, Frank got a life sentence.
But he's eligible for parole.
In 30 years. So I think life sentence varies from state to state.
Right, because like sometimes it's like 25 years. I'm like, then just say 25 years.
Yeah.
I don't know why you say life, make it seem like it's more important than it is.
Yeah. And
because you can't, I guess you could serve
life. Saying,
yeah, that's the problem, is that it's usually up to the judge's discretion what it actually qualifies as.
No, I hate that. That's like saying you're a sandwich artist. No, don't try to make it sound more impressive than it is. Yes. Is it 25 years or is it 25 years?
Yeah. So in the aftermath of all that, remember we mentioned that Frank had embezzled money from his employer. Overall, it's estimated. Okay, so I found competing information.
Right, because some say he embezzled from the church too. Were those two separate things?
I actually saw that he donated embezzled money to the church.
Oh, maybe, I might have misread. Okay.
So, basically I
can't read.
I'm Jared, I'm 19, I can't fucking read. So, he embezzled anywhere between $6 million and $30 million.
Oh my god. Okay, I'm reading the notes, and I thought it said anywhere between $6 and $30 million.
I'm gonna embezzle $6 whole.
Yes.
I'm like, shit, we've all embezzled $6.
Yes. True. But yeah, it's like he either embezzled somewhere in between there. That's a huge range, but I saw multiple articles that said $6 million, and I saw others that said $30 million. So
how does that just disappear and the employer's not like, I think my accountant might be trying to kill his wife?
I have 60 million.
So
that's true. I guess when you have that many millions, you're like, oh, nothing.
Millions, like $1.
Yeah. So I'm guessing that Frank kind of set up these like shell companies because, like you mentioned earlier, he made at least 3 that were named after Suzanne, and then like the Suzanne whatever Howard. He had reportedly donated about $200,000 of that money to his church.
That's it. He had anywhere from 60 million to 30 million. You know, he donated 200,000.
That's how you know he's going to hell.
He is going to hell, because when you're a Christian, you're supposed to donate at least 10%. So he should have donated at least 600,000 or 300,000? No,
you know what they say on that first row pew? If you donate 10%, it's going straight to God's pocket, and you're going to hell if not.
God needs that money from you. It's like a Patreon.
And also keep in mind that this amount was donated over a span of 2.5 years. So that he should have donated a little bit more if he was actually upholding.
I like how we're like telling him what to do with his stolen money.
Yes.
Not return it.
So basically, a judge ordered that he repay the company with interest. So.
Awkward. How's he going to do that in jail?
That's what I was about to say. I mean, from prison.
I assume they're like seizing his assets, like the house in California and things like that.
Yeah, they're selling Suzanne on the black market.
Yes.
Now, honey, if you bend over, we can get one kidney.
No. We just need one kidney. You got 2.
It might hurt just a little bit.
Just a little.
White lady kidneys go for a lot more.
So, as of 2018, Nancy had found a full-time job as a legal assistant in a law firm.
With her glass eye.
Yes. She, like Amanda said, she got a prosthetic eye. She had numerous reconstructive surgeries, so her face is mostly put back together, but like you said, there's no muscle in her eyelids.
Yeah, and she said it's really painful because she can't, like, blink, so the eye doesn't get, like, lubricated, so it gets stuck, and it's like she's in pain. I think she lost her taste of smell. She lost her sense of taste and smell for the most part. And what else? She's in like pain.
Well, I mentioned at the beginning she suffered from fibromyalgia as well. So it's like on top of all that, she's got to deal with that.
Poor woman suffered.
Fun of the victim, but she should just keep a bottle of Astroglide with her at all times.
I don't know if you should put Astroglide on your eyeball.
It's lubricated.
I feel like there's probably some instruction on the bottle that's like, hey, don't put this on your prosthetic eyeball.
It's not gonna hurt. It's glass.
Okay, but she's putting that into her body. Like, there's
You put it in your body anyways.
That's close to her brain, though. If you can't see it, but Britt's husband is like burying his face in his hands right now. He's like, I'm glad I signed those divorce papers on my phone during this podcast. Like, I've already sent them to my lawyer.
So before the trial, Nancy divorced Frank, which is good. But she had said, like, before everything, that she would be willing to remarry him and that fix the relationship if he had turned out to be innocent. Sure, I guess.
I
mean,
he still cheated on you for 3 years.
I get it, but there's couples that have been able to work through that. But yeah, you can maybe work through cheating or assassination thing, but not both. That's a step too far.
And she had actually said that the most devastating part of everything was actually the infidelity and not being shot.
What? Yeah, I get that.
Yeah, I guess
All
because
such a huge betrayal, like all of it.
Yeah, honestly.
And she's the nicest lady.
Yeah.
Like, it's not even like she's like this cold, frigid Texas woman. She seems like the kind of person who's like, you'd go to her house and she'd make you like, I don't know.
Oatmeal raisin.
Yeah, like artisan snacks. Like, not even, I mean, like, she'd have gushers if you wanted them, but she also might like make them in the oven for you to make sure they're, I don't know.
That's not how you make candy.
Oh, do you know how to make gushers?
Yeah,
it's like half petroleum and like nuts and bolts.
She's using that Astroglide.
No. I'm sorry, Nancy. You seem like a wonderful lady. Don't put Astroglide on your eyeball.
Put any of this.
So, after the trial, Nancy now has come along to believe that Frank called the shots when it came to arranging the murder for hire plot.
He was convicted.
However, she refers to the offending person as John, which is like his alter ego.
I was about to say, oh my god.
And then the loving man that she had married as Frank, and so I think it's more to like compartmentalize, but also
Isn't that like that dude, Sherlock and Holmes?
no. Do you mean Jekyll and Hyde?
Yeah.
I was like, I don't think Sherlock Holmes had dissociative identity disorder. But honestly, like, I feel bad for her because I have been in relationships, not like this bad, but like ones where you have a hard time believing that this person you once loved could be so evil. So you are like, well, they changed or they became someone else. It's like, no, they probably had like George.
I think that was your ice.
My ice maker goes off. It's making ice, but I'm pretty sure it's haunted. It's like haunted ice.
Haunted ice.
Like if you pour it in your water and then like the water.
Spicy.
Yeah, it's got a little extra sizzle. Like you hear like if you put your ear close to the water, you hear like demonic Gregorian chants. That's actually a recording of actual water from my ice.
Spicy ice.
Spicy ghost ice. What am I talking about? Anyway, yeah, like, so I get that where it's like sometimes you have to compartmentalize this person, but I think he was a narcissist or a sociopath or what, but like you can be both. You can be somebody who's like, I'm loving and charming until you're no longer of service to me, and then I can discard you like you're nothing, which is what Frank was able to do.
Like my dad.
Way to make it awkward bringing your own personal trauma into this. God.
I'm just trying to relate.
And I think too, it bothers me because they were together for so long before that and then he just decided, okay, well, I'm not happy anymore, and then he just...
If you tried to kill me after like 5 years together, I'd get it, but like after 30 years, fucking suck it up, buddy.
We're so close to death.
You're so close. Like, let's just
Let
die.
it happen naturally.
They were only in their 50s. They're not that close to death.
So close to death.
That's so close to death, Brianna.
Okay.
Because she's 30.
I mean...
She's older than me, so...
I'm only like 34, 33.
Oh, I thought you were about to say 42.
Oh.
Wow.
I'm gonna get out of my house.
Let's finish this episode.
We're almost at the end. We got 3 more bullet points.
Don't say bullet points. I'm triggered by that.
Oh,
I'm
I
also
should be triggered by that.
She's also triggered by the word triggered.
Yeah.
Because she got shot.
Shut up.
Stop stealing my line. It's my line. I earned
the catchphrase.
Okay. She says that she has forgiven him and moved on, and she says she is excruciatingly happy, and I'm very happy for her. She deserves it. She actually told her side of the story in a book titled The Shooting of Nancy Howard, A Journey Back to Shore, written by Alice Matthews. And the reason why it's called that is because her maiden name is Shore, so Nancy Shore. She now goes by Nancy Shore, obviously.
I feel bad because the reviews on Amazon were like, the Dateline episode had more information.
Well, they were talking...
You can only see she has one eye.
She didn't write the book, though.
There were a lot of 5-star reviews, but there were a couple of, like, recent, like, 1 or 2-star reviews that were basically like, it seems like it's mostly just, like, talk of her faith and her religion and not necessarily about the story.
That's how she copes.
Right, like,
yeah.
Let her be.
It matters to her. Like,
yeah.
you know, like, and she said, like, when she was shot, she said she heard God telling her to, like, get up, get off the floor. And
like, you're not done yet.
You know, and, like, I believe people have experiences, so, like, I don't want to make fun of what she believes, but she also didn't write the book, so I guess I can make fun of it.
Yeah. To my knowledge, to this day, the daughters still believe that their dad is innocent. And because of that, the children are estranged from Nancy, but Nancy says that she understands why they feel that way because she raised them to respect their father. This was actually one of the quotes. So she said, quote, "He was continually telling them that he was innocent, that he had nothing to do with this, and he was a great husband and father until the time he wasn't. So I can totally understand why my children believe this," unquote. She's like, I don't know how she manages to, like, forgive him and just be such a good person after all that. Like, I guess that's part of that's faith, but
The world may never know.
it's true.
I hope she gets everything.
Yeah.
I hope she, like, wins the lottery and gets, like, a sexy 25-year-old boyfriend
I
with
hope
a
she
much...
doesn't win the lottery, because if you go back to the Abraham
God.
Shakespeare
Oh, yeah,
episode-
okay.
Yeah,
I hope
someone-
she wins a reasonable amount of money that nobody around her knows about so she can have a private fortune, and she, like, falls in love with a guy with a much bigger George than... a much bigger George than Frank ever had.
Period.
Well, on that note, Adam Sandler, if you're listening, please join this podcast.
So that was the case of the Heehaw gang. I'm sure there's so much more information out there. Check the articles in our sources, especially the D Magazine one, because that goes very in-depth into everything. We could not fit that all into this episode, but trust me, it's an interesting read. So go ahead and check that out. It's in our show notes. Thanks for listening. Do you
Thanks,
have...
Sailor Jupiter.
Yes, thanks, Sailor Jupiter and Boruto and...
No, only Sailor Jupiter.
Okay.
I have a name.
No.
Do the Sailor Jupiter voice. Please.
She makes people pay for that.
Hi, I'm Sailor Jupiter. I'm the Sailor Guardian of Thunder and Lightning. I'm very, very popular.
What's that voice?
No.
Oh, okay.
He was looking at me like very confused.
No, that's not that voice.
She's a voice!
I'm not your dancing monkey.
After we get off.
Yes.
Okay. So, is there any upcoming projects that you have being released anytime soon you want to promo and plug?
You can't promote nothing until you do the voice.
We ain't giving you any spotlight. No.
Cool.
I can't talk about some of the projects because you know, like they're like under
NDAs and
NDA,
shit.
so it's never that exciting. But what?
NDA.
NDA means non-disclosure
Non-disclosure
agreement,
agreement.
you
I know,
heathen.
Gross.
I don't like those. They silence me.
I feel like I can't express myself.
Okay, we'll talk about it with my therapist.
Yeah, I mean, you can watch Boruto, Naruto Next Generations on Hulu and Crunchyroll. Also, check out Kid Cosmic on Netflix. It's a show by Craig McCracken, who's the creator of Powerpuff Girls, Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends.
Puzzles.
It's really, it's a fun show. Like, if you like those shows, yeah.
I love Foster's Home for
I
Imaginary
like bubbles. I'm Whitney. I like bubbles.
That's just my face.
But yeah, check those out. And I'm sure at some point the next season will be coming. And also, I'm going to be really
Ew,
famous
is that
real soon.
coming?
I did say coming.
Oh, God.
The next, I'm just going to be really, really famous. And at the next time you hear me, I'll be too famous to be on this podcast. So I guess you won't hear me. I'll have like a gold-plated microphone.
Well, she has social media, but she doesn't use it, so...
I try to. I use it in my heart.
Amanda is not on social media. Well, not as active on social media.
I am on social media,
She's
you bitch.
on social media. She just doesn't really use
I have a
social media.
TikToks. I have 2 TikToks. I have 2 Instagrams. I have a comedy one and a voice acting one. Yes. My comedy one is at Hey Amanda Celine, and then that's also my Instagram for my comedy stuff, but I haven't posted anything there yet. Yep. And then my anime or voiceover one is the one that's at Amanda C. Miller VO. And I'm on Twitter, but don't go on Twitter. Twitter's stupid.
Agreed. We are on social media. You can find us on Instagram at Shockingly Wicked Podcast. You can find us on Twitter at Wicked Podcast 1. We are on Facebook as a Facebook group. It is a private group. You just hit join. It'll automatically let you in. Just search up Shockingly Wicked Podcast and you'll be accepted. We are on TikTok at Shockingly Wicked. We post funny videos over there, little bloopers here and there, all that fun stuff. If you have case suggestions, send them to our Gmail account, which is shockinglywickedpodcast@gmail.com.
Send me fan mail.
Yes, send fan mail, send
Only to me.
Case suggestions. No, I don't want that.
Don't send me nudes. Don't do that.
Send us case suggestions.
Only send nudes if you've committed a crime.
Yeah, so we can turn you in. We are also on YouTube, but we don't have a URL, so
it's so Shockingly Wicked.
Yes.
At like ABCD3 apostrophe percent sign.
It's ridiculous. I'm not even gonna bother. So find us, subscribe, so we can get a URL, and that is everything. Thanks so much for listening. Bye.
Bye.